This is a Squiz podcast. We're your shortcut to being informed.
Squiz Kids!
It's your daily news fix. Fun, free, fresh.
Hello and welcome to Squiz Kids Today, your fresh take on what's happening in the world around you. I'm Amanda Bauer and it's Friday, November 18. In Squiz Kids Today, flood help arrives, encouraging news from Myanmar, a massive weekend for the roos, and video games at work. That's what's making news, kids style.
The lowdown.
2 weeks after they finished their flood cleanup, hundreds of properties in New South Wales are underwater again. Yesterday, the Lachlan River rushed through the town of Forbes, where 8,000 people live, surprising them with its speed and requiring dozens of rescues. After 66 days of floods, those rescuers are getting pretty exhausted. So the federal government sent in an extra 200 soldiers to help. Plus, 18 flood specialists from Singapore also arrived in the country yesterday to lend a hand, joining a team from New Zealand that was already here. Meanwhile, towns further west were being told to evacuate yesterday ahead of predicted flooding today. Experts have predicted that this will be the biggest flood rescue and cleanup operation in New South Wales history. If you're having a hard time imagining what it looks like in those affected areas, I've put a link in your episode notes to some photos. One shows a house that floated down the street with its air conditioner and TV dish still on the roof before crashing against a power pole. Thank goodness weather forecasts for a weekend of rain are looking less likely in New South Wales, and there's expected to be a dry week starting on Monday. Sadly, that is not the case in Victoria and Tasmania, which could see more rain and flooding next week. Boo.
Spin the globe.
Each day we give the world globe a spin and find a news story from wherever it stops. And today we've landed in Myanmar, where the military announced yesterday it was releasing more than 6,000 prisoners from jail, including an Australian professor. I'm guessing you have a lot of questions, like where is Myanmar, who is this imprisoned professor, and why are the military releasing people from prison? Well, Myanmar is a country in Southeast Asia, and in February 2021, the military overthrew the democratically elected government and put themselves in charge. They then threw a lot of people in prison who had either been involved with the old government or who protested against military rule. The Aussie professor is Sean Turnell, who is an expert in economics. He was in Myanmar working as an advisor to the former Prime Minister, Aung San Suu Kyi. The military sentenced him to 3 years in prison in September last year, and his supporters in Australia have been trying to get him out ever since. So why did the military say they were letting him and more than 6,000 other people go? State media announced that they were doing it to celebrate Myanmar's National Day. Professor Turnell will be deported, which means sent back to Australia, where his wife, also a university lecturer, is waiting for him. While we're spinning the globe, we have a special treat for you. Here at Squiz Kids, we know that it's important to know more about a country than just what we hear in the headlines. And so this week, I'm taking an audio excursion to China to learn about its culture and people. This week, Anthony Albanese was the first Aussie PM to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping in 6 years, which could mean that the tricky relationship between our two countries is improving. If you keep listening after today's podcast, you'll hear Squiz the World go to China and learn things like how many people it took to build the Great Wall, what it's like to go to school in China, and why there's just one time zone across such a massive country. I hope you enjoy it.
Sport time.
I know not everyone listening is a rugby league fan. I include myself amongst you. What I know about rugby league you could write on the head of a pin. But I do love a grand final of any kind, and this weekend the Rugby League Men's and Women's World Cup finals will be held back-to-back with a lot of Aussie roos involved. The Kangaroos, our men's team, will play Samoa for the men's final, which kicks off at the delightful hour of 4 p.m. on Saturday in England. That's 3 a.m. on Sunday morning on the east coast of Australia. Before that game, our world number 1 women's Gillaroos will take on the New Zealand Ferns at the slightly better time of midnight. That's only 9:15 on Saturday night if you're in the West. 2 Aussie players, Kennedy Cherrington and Shannon Marto, have Maori heritage, and they've given their Aussie teammates some advice on what to do during the haka. The haka is a ceremonial war dance, and Kiwi rugby teams do it before every match. I'll put a couple of links in your episode notes. It is quite intimidating. And Kennedy told her teammates, look a Kiwi player in the eye and stare them down while they do the haka. It's a war dance, and she wants to take the war to New Zealand.
Pop Culture Corner.
Have you ever been busted playing video games when you were meant to be doing something else, neither at home or even at school? Believe it or not, grown-ups are now being encouraged to play video games at work. The computer giant Microsoft is promoting something called Games for Work on its video meeting platform called Teams. Colleagues can play against each other, and others can watch and cheer their workmates on. Microsoft reckons that playing games in moderation can lift your spirits and help you produce better work once you've had that break. I think there are millions of kids who could have told you that for free. Hi kids, a quick reminder of our super excellent Christmas charity campaign in association with Lego. For every Lego build that a Squiz Kid creates and shares on Instagram, tagging at Squiz Kids and using the hashtag #BuildToGive, the good people at Lego will donate a Lego set to a family in need this Christmas. How cool is that? It's all being done in cooperation with UNHCR, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, who do excellent work helping families displaced by conflict, meaning they've been forced to leave their homes and set up in a new country. This, my friends, is our chance to show the world how generous Squiz Kids can be. Build as many things as you like, share them on your parents' Instagram accounts, and we'll feature them on the Squiz Kids Insta page. I took a look yesterday and I was blown away by a most excellent Galaxy 5 spaceship, a Minecraft battle, and a shark with very pointy teeth. Add yours this weekend. On December 9, we'll add up all the builds you've done and reveal the number of Lego sets that will be given away this Christmas. Because nothing is better than giving at Christmas time. I've stuck details about the Build to Give campaign in today's episode notes. Get building.
Time for the quiz.
This is the part of the podcast where you get to test how well you've been listening. But before we get started, I wanted to let you know that I've thrown in another test in today's podcast. All of the names in our birthday shout-outs are in alphabetical order today, but 2 are out of place. Can you find them? Let's get on with the squiz. Question number 1. Which team are the Gillaroos playing in the Rugby League World Cup final? I'll accept New Zealand or the Ferns. Question number 2. From which country have flood rescue specialists arrived in Australia? You were listening really carefully if you got Singapore. And question number 3, what does Microsoft think adults should do at work to boost productivity? Believe it or not, play video games.
Shout-outs.
It's November 18. On this day in 1963, the first push-button telephone came into service. Before then, you had to put your finger into a different hole for each number on a dial and turn it on what was called a rotary phone. Rotary comes from the word rotate or go around. I'll put a link in your episode notes if your parents or grandparents want to take you on a trip down memory lane. It's also a Friday, and you know what that means. Lots of birthday shout-outs for today and the coming weekend, in alphabetical order, except for 2 surprises. Listen carefully while I crack out the old birthday reggae tune. And it's a happy birthday today to Addison from Munopara, Alex from Mosman, Annabelle from Robina, Barry from Waitara, Bianca from Bathurst, Charlotte from Craigburn, Dara from New South Wales, Darren from Karingbar, Dom from Geebung, Faithlyn from South Hurstville, Edie from Geebung, Elizabeth from Robina, Eva from Cromer, Jaden from Melbourne, Jayriz from Brisbane, Jen from Bradbury, Katie from Aurelia, Katie from Perth, Larita from Dandenong South, Larissa from Sydney, Maze from Somerby, Miranda from Tellera, Nell from Botany, Noah from Richmond, Riley from Glenmore Park, and Rohalla from Melbourne. A belated birthday shout out goes to Amelia from Kearns. And not forgetting the Squiz Kids who are celebrating a birthday over the coming weekend. Again in alphabetical order with 1 mistake. Ungad from Craigburn, Emily from Sans-Souci, Molly from Bridgeman Downs, Lucas from Abbotsford, Neo from Pyrmont, Oscar from Forest Lake, Saba from Melbourne, and Xander H from Point Clare. Special classroom shout-outs today go to Class 6J at Preston West Primary School, and happy birthday to their teacher, Mr Jobson. Also to the Grade 4s at Snowy Mountains Grammar School in Jindabyne, and a happy birthday to their teacher, Miss Murray, and good luck with her big move. Don't forget, if you've got a birthday coming up and you want a shout out, or if you want a classroom shout out, fill out the handy dandy form on our website or drop us a line, squizkids@thesquiz.com.au. That's all we have time for. Oh wait, one more thing. Thank you, Faithlyn and Molly, for being our out of alphabetical order birthday kids today. Did you get them both right? Thanks for listening to Squiz Kids today. We'll be back again on Monday. In the meantime, get out there and have a most excellent day. Over.